Hi, I'm George from AmateurLogic and Ham Nation.
I'm Tommy from AmateurLogic and Ham College.
And hi, I'm Ray with Icom, and I get to hang out with these two guys today.
And we're going to have another classic Smackdown episode here tonight. Okay. This is going to be a lot of fun. I feel the victory coming on.
Oh yeah, this is your turn?
It is my turn, yeah.
So what we're looking at here is a predecessor to the 9700, which we have in the middle. The perfect mate to it for the 7300, because a lot of people go, well, did it replace the 9100? Mm-hmm. The combination of these two would be the 9100 because you have HF 6, 2, and 440. But an advantage that you have here is you can do 6 meters as well as 70 centimeters, 2 meters, all at the same time.
Oh, nice.
But really what this has replaced is the 910H. And I think you said earlier George wanted the 910 for the shootout, so.
Yeah. No, that's not what George said. That's what Tommy said.
Oh, so Tommy's stacking the deck.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Just sort of like that, you know.
Well, I'm sure that doesn't come as any surprise.
But when you take a look at it, the size difference of the display, the knob controls, I mean, just the basic functionality, the 910H brought in some real nice things like your set mode, instead of having a huge menu of things, so you want to do the setting for the Vox, then you push Vox. Mm-hmm. Then you'd have things like your Vox gain, Vox delay, and your anti-Vox. But there again, your preamps, whether you want it, what a level of gain for your preamp on 2 meters or 440. So the set changed things. But now with the 9700, it's menu or a quick menu or the multi. So there's several different areas to gain access instead of having a huge laundry list of menu settings.
That's nice. I like how you're consistent here with the two models. So you learn how to use one of them, you're going to be right at home with the other one.
Most definitely.
So consistency's good.
George, on your side of the table is the new 9700. And on Tommy's side of the table is the IC-910H.
Just as God intended.
Yes, sir.
How did we choose sides of the table here? Just random?
Yeah, it was the luck of the draw.
I think you said you liked the pretty green screen.
Yeah, it's a nice looking green screen, but it's not as nice as that one.
Yeah.
But you got a fan on yours.
He's got a fan. Then we're looking at 1.2 UHF and 2 meters.
What about the little SMA connector right here?
That is a 10 meg reference input. It's used to calibrate the internal time base.
Oh, interesting.
Then above that, you've got your Ethernet jack. That's where you can do your DD mode or do the rig control with the RSBA1 software.
Okay.
Then both radios, now the interesting thing, you've got UHF, 2 meters, and your 1.2 was optional. The data jack on is for D-Star mode, so when you're doing the DV data.
Okay. Then, let's see, we got a regular USB port there.
USB port for your digital modes, rig control, or utilizing the internal sound card.
Yeah, that's a great feature. I like that in my Icom radios. We've got a key jack over there, but in the remote, what's the remote one for?
Remote is if you're using it with another receiver, so you can lock out the transmit when one's transmitting.
Oh, okay.
Or to have them track together.
And then, see, we got a couple speaker jacks over there.
Yep.
Nice.
What about the Ethernet?
That's what I was going to go to next. The Ethernet jack allows you to do remote base operation, where like the 7300 that looks exactly like the 9700, you have to have a computer attached to it to control it.
Right.
But the 9700 has the RSBA1 server built into it. So all you need is one computer versus the two on a 7300.
That's a nice feature. I like that.
That is. That's very nice. So I see I've already won. Are you going to throw in the towel right
I'm not going to quit just yet. So there's still a little chance.
One of the things with the 9700 is everything is pretty much built into the radio. The 910H, and even looking at the radio that everybody thought replaced the 910H being the 9100, you could have D-Star, but it was an option. You could have 1.2 with the 910H, 1.2 was an option as well. For HF, the 9100 had optional filters for it. So there were a lot of different options to fully load out a 9100 when it first came out. You'd spend close to $6,000.
Okay.
Now with the 9700, 1.2 gig is standard. One thing that you did not have with the 9100 was the DD mode. The 9700 gives you the DD mode. It also has DR mode, so all your repeaters are loaded into it.
Oh, wow.
And the D-Star is standard on the 9700, is not an option.
That is correct.
And the 1.2 gig, I believe you said, was standard as well.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
So as it comes, all your internal modules, this thing is fully loaded.
So how do you get one PA to cover VHF, UHF, and 1.2 gig?
You don't. This has 3 separate PA sections with the 9700. Pretty much like all of our VHF, UHF radios, you've got 100 watts on 2 meters, 70 centimeters is 75 watts, and on 1.2 it's 10 watts.
Okay.
And one of the things to keep in mind when I mention the DD mode, you have to have a fast switching PA to be able to do the data and acknowledgement back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Tommy, if you remember playing around with the ID1s, the transmit receive was very quick, flickering back and forth.
Mm-hmm. So that's a lot of radio in one box, and there really aren't any add-ons that you need for that, right?
Not internally, no, sir. I mean, you've got your optional power supply. The radio will control mass-mounted preamplifiers.
Okay.
So there are external accessories that you can add to it. Unfortunately, we don't do the preamps anymore.
I really like the RSBA1 software, the server built into there. It's really nice.
Yeah, that does make it nice because the radio can just sit there powered on by itself,
Mm-hmm.
and that's really all you got to have for a remote operation. And
Pretty much like what you have grown accustomed to with today's current radios. You've also, on the front of the radio, you have an SD card slot, so you can save your different configurations, different memory channels, and update it as you need to, including firmware updates.
Cool. Yeah, I like that. I use the SD card a lot on mine.
so, Ray, I have a good feeling about tonight's competition here. Why don't we get on into it?
Sounds good to me. Tommy, are you ready for the beating?
I don't know. I'm not quite ready, but let's go get started. I'm anxious to see what this 9700's got.
Yeah, I like the way you put that.
I bet you do.
So, George, one of the things that we're looking at here is how I can envision the 9700 being beneficial for emergency communications. As you can see in the very top, we're in DV mode for D-Star. On the bottom, we're in DD mode. What can occur at that point is you get a call over the repeater, hey, we're looking for this manual. And you can use the DD mode. We just happen to be showing the Birmingham 1.2 gig, and with it showing the RPS means that it's in DD mode.
Okay.
And you can use that to download a manual. Now, I know that's going to start a whole debate. Well, we'll go to the manufacturer's website. No, proper planning would be that you'd have it on an EOC server that you could then download the manuals, the forms, or other things that you need to do. You can also use the DD mode for a bridge and move data from point A to point B at 128K data. And I remember when that's equal to ISDN speeds, I remember when that was fast.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I remember that too.
Extremely fast.
While there's a lot of discussion about using 2.4 gig, I mean, you're going to have everybody using their commercially available off-the-shelf equipment on 2.4. But 1.2 is pretty much ours. So that gives us a clear frequency to be able to move data on.
128, that's pretty respectable for over the air.
Very much so.
So right now we're showing it on the lower part, let's come down here. Did you see how I did that, Tommy? I changed bands just by touching it.
Mm-hmm.
On yours,
Mine's not quite as sensitive.
what you do is you'd hit the M/S, and you would flip them into position.
Okay.
Now we're down here in DR mode. I'll push and hold to come out of DR mode. I can go one band at a time, both bands, or swap them like you just did.
Cool.
To go to the lower section on yours, you would hit the sub button, and then you can turn the knob.
Okay.
That's what I was meaning to show you a little bit earlier. If I wanted to change my sub band, all I do is hit here.
You know, when Icom first introduced touchscreen radios, I was thinking, that's overkill. I don't care much for that. But I have changed my thinking on that a lot.
And he's reminiscing on licking his wounds from when you beat him with the 7100.
Oh, were you remembering that too?
Yes, sir, I was.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. What a coincidence.
Now, to change the modes on your radio, right next to the M/S is FM, sideband, CW.
Okay, so you got a dedicated button for each.
And you just toggle through, you push and hold it. CW normal, CW reverse, upper, lower sideband.
Okay. Well, that's easy enough.
Here,
Oh, but that's better.
See, I
Got more options.
even like the tone on this one better.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when I push this one, it makes me want to jump.
so we can come here to FM. You can go direct frequency input with yours by hitting the green F input right below the 9. And then punch in your frequency.
Oh,
Nope. Okay, hit FM, or F input.
here.
See how difficult that is?
Yep, that's kind of a pain.
Yep. You have to hit enter again with that same button.
Oh, okay. Oh, I gotta hit that.
Yep.
Okay, I like that one better.
But what you're trying to do is you're trying to put a VHF frequency in a UHF band.
Oh, good
But
point.
I'll show you here on this one. I just touched the megahertz. I can go to the triple band stack register, or go to 1.2 gig, or the F input, punch in,
Oh, that's pretty handy.
Tommy, let's look at the set mode on your radio. One of the things with the 910H, it was a game changer, meaning that it did not have a ton of menus.
Mm-hmm.
It started our first smart menu system where you would hit the set and say you wanted to make an adjustment to the Vox.
Go ahead and hit it.
Go ahead and hit set. You'll see on the screen it says set, and then go ahead and hit the Vox. That's right by your...
Oh, I see.
So there's your anti-Vox, and then use the up-down buttons to toggle through it.
Okay.
And then you can make the adjustment, and then you'd hit set again. So
Well, that's not too bad.
in that time period, it was very innovative because some of your satellite radios would have 200 items in the menu.
Mm-hmm.
One of the other things to take a look at on the front, you've got mic gain and RF power. That RF power was one setting for all the different bands.
Okay.
So if you had it at 100%, it was 100% for all 3 bands that the radio had the capability of.
Oh, wow.
On yours, George, go ahead and hit the multi button.
Oh, hit it?
Yes, sir. And then all of a sudden you see RF power 430. megahertz. And then you would turn the multi-control again to decrease power.
Yeah.
And you can set that per band. So if you're in VHF, which is right now you're in UHF because that's where the transmit is, go ahead and hit the exit out. There you go. Now push and hold the upper button. Okay, now it's VHF. Go ahead and hit your multi button again.
Okay.
Now it's 2 meters.
Yeah.
So go ahead and hit 146. And then you can go to 1.2.
Where do I want to go here? Okay.
And 100% is going to be 10 watts.
Okay. And on 1.2, I'm going to be using an antenna with a lot of gain anyway.
Yes, sir.
So-
Or you're going to be driving an amplifier.
True. All right. Let's see. Go to 1.2, Tommy.
Okay, I'm gonna have to start punching these things for a long time.
No, sir. What you do is you hit your main /S, M/S, but push and hold it.
I do better to see that without my glasses. Oh no, okay.
So now it's 1.2 on the bottom, and then you could flip them by hitting the M/S.
Take that.
Okay. You did it.
With a
Go
little,
to- go to
with a little
440.
help from my friend. 440. 440.
You'd turn your, right now his sub is on, so you'd turn your sub off, and then you'd,
Oh, so it just toggles.
yes, sir.
Yeah. Tell me to go to 440, Ray.
Go to 440, sir. Go to 2 meters.
Well, let's see. Where do I want to go to 2 meters? I'll go to 2 meters up here. No?
Just touch it.
Well,
You just touch it one time, and there you go. You got to remember whether it's touch once to go to it, touch and hold, which is a tuning step.
Okay.
And here's one thing to take a look at. 144, and then it goes to 147.
ah,
This has got a very tight front end on it, so it's just ham bands only. So 144 to 148, 430 to 450, and 1240 to 1300.
yeah. So if you some of those that have the broader receive, you actually lose some on your front end when you.
Oh yeah, you
implement
definitely
that,
do.
so.
And the wider the frequency coverage that it can handle, the wider the front end, and more susceptible to interference from out of band.
Right, that makes sense.
So, for my VHF contesting, this is going to be a far superior choice because I'm not going to be dealing with any interference that I can really pull in those weak signals.
Yes, sir. Some of my friends from over in the UK are telling me that they've got guys close by that's running 1,000 watts on VHF and they don't even see them.
Wow.
On my way to Quartz Fest in January, I participated in the January VHF contest. I had the 7,300 below on 6 meters, and then 440 and 2 meters. I'd work them on 6, ask them if they were on the other bands, what frequency, and we would just go and walk through the different frequencies.
Wow. I bet you were there waiting on them when they got there.
Yes, sir.
This wouldn't be a radio that you'd recommend to somebody who just got their technician license.
Actually, it's been very interesting looking at the new hams that are getting their technician license. They are looking for a base station radio. They might not be in that price range of this radio.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of guys that are going to start selling their 910Hs to upgrade.
Oh,
So
that'd
that
be-
opens up a
yeah.
whole new world where it might not be the latest and greatest, but it's able to give somebody an opportunity to have a VHF, UHF base station.
Yeah, because there's not a lot of VHF, UHF base station radios out there.
No, sir.
Man, this you could really get the maximum out of your technician ticket with that baby right there.
Oh, yeah, with all the different modes you can do.
Yes, sir.
Yep. But it has been interesting to see, on the other hand, though, the technicians that are upgrading to general, they're going right for the 7300.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
So maybe not today, but down the road, you see a 7300 and a 9700 sitting side by side.
Boy, it'd make a great pair.
Yeah, it's a perfect companion. Almost exactly the same chassis, same basic operation, navigation through the system there.
Oh yeah. So some of the things on the front that are easy to get to, you've got your preamp, attenuation, your notch, noise blanker, noise reduction. Here you've got your noise blanker, noise reduction, you push and hold to get to it. But to set your noise reduction, you go set NR, and then that's for that particular band.
Okay.
Where on this one, your noise reduction, you've got it right here.
Nice.
And when you take a look at the design of the radio, this is an SDR. So in the FPGA, you're doing all your DSP functions as well. Where on the 910H, the UT106 was an optional AF DSP, not IF DSP.
Okay.
So if you were getting interference from, I mean, example was we had a 910H on field day when I worked with W3AO. And the genset that we were using was generating a noise signature on our downlink from satellite. So what I did is I brought a 9100 that had IF DSP. We filtered it out, it took it out of the AGC, and then we could hear the downlink from the
Cool.
from the satellite.
I've never really operated a radio that had DSP for VHF and UHF, and particularly IF DSP. And I always was under the impression that the DSP just wouldn't do that much on those bands, but not true, huh?
It will do wonders, and that 7000 that he loved so much when you were showing him the 7100 does IF DSP on 2 and 440.
It does.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm still kicking it on that old Smackdown. That's been how long ago?
Yeah.
3 years ago, maybe.
But both your 7100 and his 7000 have got the IF DSP that the 910 does not.
Oh yeah.
So that will show you we've been doing IF DSP for quite some time in VHF and UHF.
And it never even occurred to me because I don't use the VHF and UHF on my 7000 in the mobile. I've got a dual band radio, and I've got the 7000 I use exclusively for HF. So, I can monitor 3 things at once, but maybe I should hook a VHF UHF antenna to that.
Just to see, and
Just
I mean,
to see.
even on VHF contesting, you've got something you can play with there because you've got sideband.
True. So the SD card slot on here, what kind of things can I do with that?
You can load settings, save settings, import and export your memory lists. You can do screen captures. So you can go, Tommy, you wouldn't believe the noise that I'm seeing on VHF. Well, you can take a screenshot and then email it to Tommy. Firmware update,
Cool.
which with an SDR becomes a very important thing to do.
Oh yeah.
And there are times when we'll have a firmware update before a radio is shipped. And when you get it, you don't have to sit there like you do with some of your software and just wait for it to download for hours and hours before you can use your computer. You can quickly download the firmware, do the firm up, and make the changes in the radio real quick.
That brings up another question here. What about voice recorder?
Well,
It's funny you should mention that.
funny that you should mention that.
All right, it's right there, same place it is on all the touchscreen
Yes, sir.
icons.
So you can start the record, you can play the files to yourself. We do not allow you to retransmit a signal that you've recorded.
Okay.
One of the primary reasons why is you've got tone settings that you can set with your radio. And I'll show you real quick. We go menu, set tone controls for receive. So each one of those modes, you can set the tone quality that you want to hear. Then you set your own microphone tone quality for transmit. There you go, and for sideband, AM, FM. By the time you go through 2 layers of processing, your inbound as well as your outbound, they no longer sound the same.
Yeah. So what about voice keying? Does it have a built-in voice keyer?
Yes, sir. Menu. Voice.
Oh,
And then there's your transmit.
That's pretty awesome. You know, this SD card, when I first got my first radio with the SD card in it, I was like, why? But if you actually look into that, it's so useful. I did a segment for AmateurLogic not long ago about going to D-Star Info site and downloading the CSV file.
Yes.
And you don't need any software, you don't need anything. You put it on your SD card. If you go to a new area, you just load in the file. You have all your repeaters, all your DR mode stuff, all your FM repeaters with GPS coordinates, so you can get what you want from there.
He got bored. We're not able to talk or show anything on his radio, so he's now jumped on your bandwagon.
I was noticing that. He's kind of like conceded defeat
I'm thinking we need
already.
to change your sides.
Yeah. He's become my cheerleader.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Now, you notice it says voice transmit. We're in FM mode. Let's come out of here, go FM, or CW. Now we go menu, and where it said audio before, our voice, now it's your CW key.
Cool.
Oh, smart menus.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous to have that huge laundry list of menu items to go through and then end up scratching your head. Well, do I really need this now? What does this setting do?
Yeah.
So we make it available when you need it.
So it's got DR mode and FM repeater list. Does it have GPS to support those near repeater functions?
Yes, sir, it does, but the GPS is either a manual setting. So like if you're stationary at your QTH, you can manually set it in, or you can use an external. So when you take a look at how you want to set it up.
Okay.
And then when you do make those settings, then your near repeater function works based on your location.
Okay. It might be a little bit large for mobile, but I imagine some people may want to run it mobile. So
Well, definitely on VHF contesting, you'd want to be as a rover.
right.
So one of the questions we receive on the 9700 before we released it was, how do you get into satellite mode? Let's compare it to the 910 there, Tommy.
Okay. Satellite button.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
With this one, we go menu and satellite.
I got you beat on that one. One button.
Yes, he does. But
That's
here-
1 point for me.
But here's your advantage, George. As you can see, they track together. Tommy, yours tracks together as well.
Okay. You had me scared there for a minute.
I understand. But if you wanted to change it from a normal to a reverse, all I have to do is touch the screen.
Okay.
Right next to your satellite button, you'll see right above it M, S, and then normal reverse. You hit the buttons above them to do those items. Now you can tune your subband.
Oh, okay.
How I do it here is I come down here. Oh, I hit the sub.
Okay. Okay.
So you're making the adjustments so you could do your main sub, but what I do here is I select sub or I select main.
Okay. Well, that sure makes it a lot easier, doesn't it?
It does make it a little bit easier.
This works, but that's just a little bit nicer.
Yeah, and that was one of the improvements that we made with the 910H over the predecessor to it being the 821. The 821, you had to hold the button and turn the knob, but the satellite operators wanted it real quick and easy where they could do it with one hand.
So what about rotator control? Is there any kind of, I guess that's going to be a software thing maybe.
That will be a software item.
Okay.
We're going to have 2 kits that I'm building up right now for the 9700 that will include an ASL rotor, a rotor controller, antennas, 50 feet of feed line, everything to send to schools that are going to have either a International Space Station contact, or there are some schools that are working on CubeSats. So when their CubeSat gets launched, we'll have a portal on our website where they can register their school, and we will be working with them to get them the 9700 so they can use at their school.
Yeah, satellite stuff's pretty fun. I used to like to try to play around with that back in the day.
Yeah, I think you would probably do better with one of these than...
Yeah, because I didn't have a lot of success with it, to be totally honest with you, but it was fun to try.
But there's more and more satellites going up right now that the ease of operation is so much nicer.
Oh yeah, the radios are just basically built for this function now. So
It makes it quite easy.
yeah.
So to get back out, satellite, you've got the same button on yours, and it comes out of satellite mode as well.
Okay. Well, I didn't fare too bad on that one.
No, sir.
Not horrible.
Not horrible.
No. But I got a feeling mine's going to pick up those satellite signals a little bit better.
Be a little bit cleaner, but one of the major things that Tommy does not have is the scope. You're able to see the spectrum scope.
Take that.
Yeah.
That stung a little bit, didn't
Just
it?
a little.
So like on the 7300, 7610, your 7700, 7851, you've got where it's either center, like it is right now, or fixed mode.
Mm-hmm.
You can expand it where it's only one frequency being shown at a time.
Yeah.
And you got a little bit of pulse noise out there.
I don't doubt it. It has been noisy around here lately.
You wouldn't see that blip. I mean, you're not even seeing an S unit move. You'd never see it with your 910.
You'd never even know it was there
No,
until
sir.
you heard it, and it was interfering with your weak signals.
Oh, look at there.
There
We
it
had
is.
something come up right there.
Oh, that's 144. Is that APRS? Or is that 145.39? 144.39, I think.
Yeah, that might be.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's APRS frequency. I'm not positive. I think it is.
But still, even on FM, we got a little bit of a signal.
Yeah.
We can change our bandwidths of our filters. With us being in FM, there's no change to it.
Okay.
But if we go to sideband, we can change the bandwidth.
Cool.
Maximum 3.6, down to 50 hertz.
That's pretty nice. I'll tell you what, once you get used to using that scope also, and if you go back to not using it, you miss it. It's a pretty nice thing
Oh,
to
yeah.
have.
On a VHF contest, a lot of guys will sit on the call frequency. With the spectrum scope, you can see the guys that are either on and then move off,
Yeah.
or the ones that are transmitting close by.
Just like on HF with the band scope, this is going to be like shooting fish in the barrel when you're working a contest, huh?
Yes, sir. I know I enjoyed using it when I was out there for Quartz Fest. And you could also spot everybody that was using other frequencies in the ham bands as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's a great feature. It's kind of a, I hate to use a buzzword, but it actually is a little bit of a game changer.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. If you've never used a radio with a band scope, you know, a real-time band scope like these radios have, all the difference in the world.
Yeah, you might need to.
Wow, look at that.
That's kind of crazy. And that's without any type of preamp. Now, if we
And it is,
there's a voice down in the dirt there.
boy, it is. Can I do anything to get that guy?
That's without the noise reduction.
Okay.
And you can see we had a little OVF flicker there.
Yeah.
No, they're just right on the edge where you can't quite make it out.
No telling where they are.
No. At that, and something like that, a mass-mounted preamp helps out a lot.
Yeah.
Because you take a look at a preamp right there at the antenna, amplifying the signal instead of trying to amplify it through the feed line loss.
And I can see now that I definitely have a noise problem. It verifies what I hear on the air on weak signals a lot of times.
It keeps time pretty well.
It does.
Very consistent.
And I haven't done anything to set the time on it.
No, I meant the time between the.
Oh, the pulses?
Yeah, it's probably something digital around here somewhere.
Yeah, not that there could be any of that around here.
No, certainly not.
So along the bottom here, we touched on what the menu did, the function. So real quick, your preamps, your AGC, notch, noise reduction, monitor.
It's IP Plus.
Oh, IP Plus will be where it changes the dither on the FPGA.
Okay.
Gives you a little bit more of a dynamic range.
Okay.
And then your transmit power limit. You can set whatever percentage you want to have it for the power. Your duplex offsets. The scope, your quick function.
Yeah, that quick menu is your friend. I kind of got accustomed to using that thing even back on my ID51. The little quick menu.
Oh yeah.
It's great.
Your tone settings for it as well. So you can have your regular tone and then a digital tone on the receiver.
Okay.
If you're jumping through your frequencies, so you can, in a contest, you can jump through them quicker than instead of coming right here.
Okay.
So it's either 5 or 10, depending on how you have it set up in the set mode.
Well, that's nice. That could be handy.
You've got your automatic frequency control. So if it needs to automatically fine tune, follow something that's drifting a little bit. Auto tune for AM.
F114.2 megahertz FM.
That's the busiest lady in ham radio right there.
She's on quite a few of them. Your tuning steps, down to 1 hertz tuning resolution.
Oh, nice. That's pretty much the full package, man.
Yeah, let me ask another question about this. You mentioned much earlier, of course, that this is a software-defined radio, and yeah, we knew that.
One thing on it with it being a software-defined radio, we'll go one step farther in comparison of the 9700 to the R8600. The R8600 is a software-defined receiver as well. But the major difference is where we're doing the direct sampling, where we're digitizing the RF. In the R8600, on VHF, it's dual conversion. On UHF and higher is triple conversion. On the 9700, the direct sampling is occurring in both the VHF and UHF. The 1.2 gig is a down conversion from 1.2 down to the 330 megahertz. And that is where it's being direct sampled. So it's being direct sampled at a much higher frequency range.
Okay. So if I went out and bought, say, one of the commercially available SDR receivers, like, say, an SDR Play or something like that, you know, really broad bandwidth, this is completely different radio because of the front end in it.
Yes, sir, that is correct. A lot of people, they've been using the SDR Play either on an internal antenna or a low gain external antenna. You wouldn't be using something with real high gain for your long distance weak signal work. So what we're seeing is people doing EME, which is Earth, Moon, Earth.
Right.
Meteor scatter. There's actually been a group of people talking about bouncing signals off of aircraft.
Oh, wow.
When you look at the different groups talking about it, it's been very interesting to hear the comments, well, I need to be in USB-D, which is the data mode, but I need to be able to use the microphone on the radio because you do the weak signal with the data, but you need to do a voice communication as well.
Oh.
So it has been very interesting to watch the different VHF and UHF groups that are looking at using the radio.
Yeah, because there's a whole community out there, I mean, huge community that's dedicated to nothing but VHF stuff.
And then you've got the weak signal guys, you've got your D-Star enthusiasts, you've got your repeater enthusiasts, you've got your contesters, you've got satellite users. I mean, those are just 5 different groups, and they're all categorized VHF, UHF.
Right.
And it's very difficult to make one radio within a price point to cover all those areas.
And this is really not just one radio, is it?
No, sir. You've got 2 separate receivers, as we were showing earlier with your main and sub band. Both of those can have signals coming in at the same time. So we've got both receivers going on. And you can hear by the tone difference, that's USB, that's what you're used to hearing on your HF. And then your full tone for your FM. Go through the menu. We've got the band scope, audio scope, voice, the meters.
Oh, it looks like my 7000 a lot right there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, actually looks like similar to my 7100.
Memory, your different scans. You record, you're set. So you go over to the second menu, and a lot of this is your D-Star stuff. So your DV, DD memories, your call sign, your call directory, your DV auto reply. So you can record a message in there that you're away from your radio, but then it only plays back when somebody calls you directly. So they would have to have your call sign in the UR.
Okay, it's called sound routing.
Then you got DV gateway, which then terminal mode, access point mode is built into the radio.
Okay.
So you'd use the microphone and use this as a call sign routed access point.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, that's cool.
And then finally your set menus for your tone. A lot of this looks like your 7300.
Yep.
Except here, your network.
Yep.
And you can have up to 2 users.
Yeah.
Okay.
That really changes things there.
Display setting for your colors.
Well, a lot of customization there.
Yes, sir.
Cool. So set it off the network if you got the Ethernet hooked up also.
Yes, sir.
I don't know that I've ever seen a VHF, UHF radio that had a notch filter on it, but I guess it's common in contest grade radios.
Yes, sir. I mean, you can have a strong signal close by. You can notch them out and hear the weaker signal.
Now, that's cool.
That'll be, but that would be on sideband.
Yeah, okay.
Now that I say it, let's double check. No, yeah, let's go up here to the top. It has automatic notch on FM.
Oh.
So the automatic notch would be if there's a carrier or a high pitch.
Okay.
Oh, that was our tuning steps right here, by the way. Ah. But you see the AN up here at the top. So that's your automatic notch. Noise blanker, not an FM. But you go to sideband.
Yeah.
And even
on AM, yeah.
So you take a look at your connectors. Here you have your external preamps.
Okay.
You can set it up by band. External speakers, whether you want them left ear for main, right ear for sub, or have them mixed.
Oh, cool.
Your headphones. A lot of this looks very familiar
It does.
to the 7300. External keypad. Even your RTTY.
Okay. Now, wait a minute. This doesn't have RIDI built in it, does it?
Yes, sir.
You know, I hadn't noticed that. That's pretty cool.
Then you can decode. So all of those things that we just went through with the RTTY, the voice keyer, none of that is in that radio.
Tommy?
No gloating. Yeah, I feel like it's like, but wait, there's more. Every time I think we're getting like, there can't possibly be more in there, but wait, there's more. So you say this one has like 2,500 memory channels for DR mode?
Yeah, just for the DR mode, we used two different resources for the information. We used the D-Star users as well as D-Star info and combined the two. That is interesting to look at that waveform.
It sure is.
I know the price is going to vary, you know, on the street, but what's the suggested retail on this rig?
The MSRP is $2,200 on it, and that is basically no internal options whatsoever.
And are there any internal options available?
No, sir, there's not.
Okay, so that's the whole shooting match.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so when you look at, you get 3 bands, you've got D-Star, everything. That's really pretty good value, really.
Yes.
You look at what you were getting with the other radios you were talking about earlier, the 9100 with all the add-ons, could run the price up a pretty good bit.
The 910H itself was around $1,500 when it first came out, and then the UX-910, which was a 1.2 gig module, was roughly another $500.
Oh, well, there you go. You're right there.
So you're looking at them both being about the same price, just that the 9700 is fully loaded. But on the 1.2, you get your D-Star as well as the DD mode, which has never been offered in a base station.
Right.
So Tommy, it looks like he got you pretty good on this one.
Yeah, I got a few bruises and everything, but I think I'll be okay. And next one, I'm going to take the next one.
Well, you know, I was due a good smackdown here, and yeah, I felt good about it going into the match. I didn't see how I could lose.
No, I felt like the deck was kind of stacked in your favor.
And you knew right when to quit before he really started screaming. I like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was just no point at that, you know.
Yeah.
Then he knew he can see.
Well, when I started hollering uncle and tapping the mat. That was a sign.
Yep, there were no scores being run up in this ball game.
Yeah, that's a beautiful radio, man. I really like that.
It really is, and it looks so much like the 7300, the 7610.
It has a lot of the same look and feel. The cosmetics feel very similar. And that is one thing that Icom's done real nice on their designs. I would say over the last 10 to 15 years, if you've played with one Icom radio, it feels a lot like the others.
Yeah, the interface is very consistent.
Yeah, I was going to say, I almost could just sit right down and go to operating it without really studying the radio. So much is so simple.
Or the 3 manuals.
Oh, the 3, that's right. English?
English,
French.
Spanish, and French.
Yep.
And all of them come with that?
Yes, sir.
I don't know what else to say about it other than I appreciate the good spirit of competition here that we had tonight. And, it's nice to be operating a winner.
Yeah, well, you're probably due.
Oh, yeah.
So, anyway, I'll be gracious. I'm not going to say loser, but you did good there. Congrats.
Tommy, don't look at it as losing. You came in second, sir.
Came in second? Well, there you go. There's always a bright side.
Yep.
There's always next time, too. I'm sure this is not the last time you'll be over here, so.
No, sir.
Well, Ray, thanks for coming and visiting with us and bringing me my new radio here. It's always great. Tommy, you do have the logging chain over there, don't you?
Yep. I got, with the crime scene tape just didn't work out last time.
No, it didn't work out at all.
Yeah, they put it up to restrain people from entering the crime scene, and it didn't restrain me.
No, it didn't. It didn't even slow him down.
Yeah, he was already at the scene of the crime.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me over. Look forward to the next time, and
yeah, I appreciate you coming by with it. It's always fun to see the toys right after they come out.
Oh boy, is it? Yeah, thanks, Ray.
you're welcome, guys.
Yep.
I can't tell which way mine's pointing.
At the light.
There. All of that we shot.
So you weren't
I didn't
connected
have my
whatsoever.
mic plugged in.
at all.
You should have threw it over your.